moving on to the big talking point of the NBA at the moment, and something that's been circling around the last few days was Rudy Gobert's incident with Kyle Anderson.
Valanciunas scores. Well, we have not seen Jaden McDaniels for a while. Oh, steal off the inbound. Murphy lays it in, plus a foul on Town.
And we had a scuffle on the Timberwolves bench. Anderson. That's just something you don't see every day. I know the tension.
Oh, y'all fucking up. Kiss his ass way too much. I'm telling me, focus. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? I got a decision to make this thing. What the fuck is wrong with y'all?
To make matters worse, Jalen McDaniels' wrist injury after he punched the wall, which will now see him miss the rest of the season, which you wouldn't think that it could get any worse for Minnesota, or how disastrous it could be to close out the year, considering considering they made the play-in, or they secured a play-in spot, and then they went from that to basically their season coming undone all in the space of 48 minutes, you know what I mean? So what did you take away from that?
I'll talk about my quick spill on the Rudy Gobert incident with Kyle Anderson real quick. So to me, Kyle Anderson kind of speaks to me as that veteran presence in the locker room. He's been a journeyman. We've seen him go from San Antonio to Memphis to now the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he's been around superstar players like Kawhi, like Ja Morant, and like Anthony Edwards. And he's not necessarily the most noticeable name out there, but I think he's someone who holds a very high voice in that locker room. And I'm kind of on his side, I guess. I think respective stars respect Kyle Anderson and what he brings to the team with his rebounding, his playmaking. And he's not necessarily the most gifted athlete out there, but he's someone who's kind of worked for everything in his whole NBA career. And I just don't see how, like him kind of being on Rudy Gobert's back, I guess. I think he put a target on his back for a reason. It's kind of to get something out of him, and Rudy, being that very sensitive guy that he is, kind of took it the wrong way, and we've seen that be a trend in his NBA career. You know, he had that fallout we all know with Donovan Mitchell that kind of ended things in Utah, and now we also saw how he acted, when COVID was pretty prevalent, and he tends to act like a child to me, and I feel terrible for Anthony Edwards, being drafted into Minnesota, not knowing what's going to be coming for him at this organization. The Minnesota Timberwolves are an absolute joke to me. What they need is veterans, and that's what Kyle Anderson is. But when you get these guys it just seems so flawed to me. Like, there's so many personalities on that team. Cat, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert. We don't really need any more drama there. But yeah, that's just what I thought. Dysfunctional franchise. And yeah, I feel bad for the future cornerstone in Anthony Edwards.
It was pretty crazy to see. I mean, I know he didn't connect on the punch like a Draymond Green did with Jordan Poole, but at the same time, when you see the context of it, obviously in the heat of battle, when they're about to go into a play-in series, when it's do or die for them, and then to lose a key player like Jaden McDaniels in the process, and then Rudy Gobert gets suspended for a game against the Lakers, which he won't play in, and having been sent home after the incident, and Tim Connolly, who was, I think, is the GM of the president of basketball operations, I should say, said in a statement, he goes, "We made the decision to send Rudy Gobert home. His behavior on the bench was unacceptable, and we'll handle the situation internally." It's never a good sign when the president of basketball operations comes out. And the funny thing is about this whole thing, Timberwolves were down 12 when Gobert went out, and then when he left, and they won the game. So even if you look at the stats, the Timberwolves win percentage this season without Rudy Gobert is 66.7%. Without him, without him, it's 66.7%. With Rudy Gobert, it's 48.6%.
Yeah.
So they win less games when Rudy's in the lineup. So it also might be a good thing that Gobert's suspended. So maybe the Lakers might actually be unlucky in this situation.
Nah.
They would have rather have Gobert played. They might have actually compete. You don't agree?
Nah, I backed the Lakers. Hopefully this doesn't haunt me, but I'm gonna back my team all the way. I think we got him. The team morale's down.
But even just like, I think, Gobert, he's a very emotional kind of guy. He's like, I think maybe it's because he's French. I hope that didn't offend any French people watching, but they do tend to be quite emotional kind of people. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I think even Draymond Green commented. He mentioned, that Rudy Gobert thinks he's on the softer side. He's basically implying that Rudy Gobert put out regarding Draymond Green's incident when this all came about yesterday. Draymond, petty nature that he obviously does have, he decided to tweet the exact same thing that Rudy tweeted when Draymond's incident came out to sort of rub it in his face. So obviously you can see that he's a bit of a disliked kind of character around the league, and Gobert apologized for this, but I think I don't think it really means much now in the whole situation. Like you said, I think he's probably going to see his way out of this franchise, and I think they've made a big mistake considering who they gave up. They gave up Walker Kessler. They gave up 4 or 5 first-round picks.
Yeah. Vanderbilt.
It's just ridiculous
Beasley.
that. Yeah, Beasley, Vanderbilt. It's just guys that, looking back on it now, they're gonna really regret everything that took place here. So yeah, here it is actually. I'm trying to find this. So Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, Jarred Vanderbilt, Leandro Bolmaro, Walker Kessler, 3 unprotected firsts, a top 5 protected first in 2029, and an unprotected pick swap in 2026.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the worst trades of all time.
Yeah, I guess.
And the way it's all eventuated, the T-Wolves are getting worse when he's on the court than without him. So clearly, you give up all those assets. You give up a guy like Walker Kessler who's blocked double the amount of shots that Rudy Gobert has this year, and it's shown that he's probably going to expand his offensive game a lot more than Rudy Gobert has in his whole career that he's spent in the NBA. I think it's an absolute fleece. I think it's one of the worst trades of all time, and the Timberwolves front office should really be ashamed of themselves for putting this move and thinking that this was going to change the course of their franchise.